Well, I got to spend the day yesterday with my grandson. The 2-year-old is still very, very curious and active, constantly wants to move and do something. And so we went from the play place at church back to the house, and we played with footballs and soccer balls and volleyballs and baseballs and big bouncy balls. And we threw them to play catch in the living room, and up and down the stairs we threw them, and over the balcony we threw them, and we bounced them all over the place. And then Poppy got tired and sat down on the recliner, and the grandson wanted to play swing me by my feet. And so he would crawl up on the floor and he would lay down between my feet and stick his feet up in my face. And then he would look at me and go, swing my feet, swing my feet, swing my feet. Until I would pick him up by his ankles and swing him back and forth a couple of times. And then I would put him down because his little head would turn red and he would be giggling and laughing. And I would sit down again. And then he would crawl back up in the same place and he would lay down in the same way. And he would stick his feet up in my face and he would say, swing my feet, swing my feet, swing my feet. There's a leadership lesson in that. And there's a communicator's lesson in that many people miss. There are a lot of people who want me to coach them in communication, whether it's writing a speech for a singular event or writing a presentation they can use 1,000 times over. And many times the challenge is they feel like their life story has been so impactful to them that they need to tell that story over and over and over again until everybody gets it, because everybody needs to hear it. And the truth is that we're all very much like my 2-year-old grandson, very much like him. In the moment, it's the big bouncy ball. No, I'm done with that one. It's the baseball. No, I'm done with that one. It's the Nerf football. No, it's the leather football, but I can't really hold on to that one because it's too big and tight. It's the rubber football that only has half of its air. But it changes moment by moment by moment based on what he wants to accomplish in that moment. Whether it's throwing the ball up and down the stairs, or it's throwing the ball across the living room, it's throwing the ball over the balcony. Because they all have their own effect, right? So the joy for him is in the moment. It's very short because he's 2. He has a short attention span, but don't most Americans? Yeah, I think they do. But what he wants to accomplish in that moment, that's what he wants. And he's really not focused on what might be good for him or what might be safe or what might be unsafe. In fact, after I thought we'd given up on all of that, I came out this morning and found my audio recording microphone that I used for recording audiobooks face down under the table, the recorder on the floor, the headphones on the floor. The whole assembly had been knocked over, apparently by the big bouncy ball coming over the balcony at some point, and I didn't catch it. I didn't hear the crash. I didn't know, but it was all laying on the floor. Fortunately, the puppies didn't decide to chew on it or anything. That could have been a very expensive problem. But it wasn't his problem. He wasn't concerned about what was important to me. He wasn't concerned about all of the things around that could be broken or the Christmas tree knocked over. That wasn't his concern. And it's not for your audience either. They're not looking at all the things in your life and saying, well, I wish that was important to me, nor are they saying, wow, I realize how important that is to them. When you step in front of them to communicate, relevance isn't about you as a presenter. It isn't about you as a leader. It isn't about you as a parent. Being relevant means identifying what's important to them. In the moment, is it the big bouncy ball or the Nerf football or the baseball or the racquetball? Or is it swing my feet? Or is it tickle me? And at some point I would swing his feet or I would tickle him or whatever he wanted, and then I would want to move on to something else, and he would come back to the same place and he would say, try again. Try again. Try again. And I promise you that those who are watching you, those who are listening to you, those who are following you, whether it's from the platform or it's from the front of the meeting room or it's from the boardroom, something in their heart as they're listening to you is saying the same thing. Try again. Try again to reach my concerns. Try again to reach what's important for me. Try again to explain this in a way that I care. It's not that they don't really care about what you have to say. It's just that they care about what they want to receive more than they care about what you want to give. Let me say that again. If you're writing your presentations, and I don't care if it's a sales presentation on a PowerPoint or it's your life story and your memoirs, the audience doesn't care what you want to say. They care what they want to hear. And that's what they want. If you can craft your communication in a way that it meets the needs of their wants, that's significant. And that will get them on your side. And that will allow you to win the day. Win the day with the presentation, win the day with your message that you want to communicate to them. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a sales pitch, if it's an executive team lead and you're trying to get them to buy into your vision. It doesn't matter if it's sharing your life story. For them to buy in, there's got to be a place of relevance where what you're saying matters to them. Where they can honestly say, that touches my heart because they're giving me a solution that's important to me. Something that I choose to receive, that I desire to receive, something I've been looking for. Now, part of that is your niche market. Part of that is understanding that of all of the people who might hear your speech, these people not just will hear your speech, but they want the solution that you have to offer because you've already identified the problem they have. See, I didn't have to worry about if Swing My Feet was an international game that we play, or if Xbox would approve of it, or if PSP would make it a mobile game. Nobody cared about that. No one else in the world cared about Swing My Feet except one little boy at that moment in time. Now, there are other times that I may pick him up, swing by his feet, and he just freaks out and he panics, and that's not what he wants to do. This was the moment for Swing My Feet. This was the moment where standing on his head and rocking back and forth gently was what he wanted to do. And meeting him in that moment. If I'd said, no, let's do that later, he may have A, lost interest, and B, found somebody else to go play with. But in that moment, our engagement was based on his want. A very narrow audience, a very specific want, a very specific need. And by meeting that need, that connection grows deeper. You following me? Now, I'm not saying if you're the executive chairman of the board and you've got things that you have to deliver, and you've got rules and laws and bylaws to abide by, that you can only deliver certain things in a certain way. I understand there are parameters there. But the truth is, if you want people to buy in to what you're doing, if you want people to write a check, to sign up as a volunteer, to participate in this objective, then you've got to appeal to what they want at the time that they want it. Because they're not greatly concerned about what you want. They might be worried about losing a paycheck. They might be worried about losing an opportunity. They might be worried about not feeling special enough to be involved or invited to participate. But they're not greatly concerned about you and your outcomes. They're much more concerned about themselves, how they're going to feel, what they're going to accomplish, what they're going to get out of this moment right now. That's just the facts. And if you learn to communicate that way, the same way that you would play with your grandchild or play with your siblings or play with your neighbor's child, however you're going to do that, if you will focus your attention in your communication on the WIFM, what's in it for me, of your receiver, of your recipient, of your client, of your employees, of your board, you will find a lot more traction, engagement, deep communication with them. And oh yeah, that applies on a spiritual level as well. Lest you think leadership is a vacuum. The Almighty wants that kind of attention as well, about what's important to Him in the moment. I'm not saying God's asking you to swing Him by His feet, so that'd be a little complicated, but I am saying that in the moment that you're with Him, that you're engaging with him, that you're in a conversation with him. He wants your undivided attention in the same way. And it may switch from the volleyball to the soccer ball to the big bouncy ball to the racquetball to the football to the Nerf football. In a matter of moments, God may want to talk about more than one thing. But he still wants your undivided attention to engage, to connect, to truly be moved. If you'll apply that principle, find out what the recipient wants, and then give them your undivided attention. Your leadership, your communication, your relationships will all grow. Oh, yeah, it works between husband and wife just as well, maybe even better. Sometimes the hard part there is they're not as clear as crawling up between your feet, sticking their feet in the air and saying, swing my feet. Sometimes your spouse or your significant other is a little more vague in their communication about what they want and what they need. Sometimes your client is too. It's going to take a little bit more concentrated effort on your part as a communicator, as a leader, to discern what it is they really want. And even if you somehow give them what they need, hidden in what they want, you'll be a master. You know how hard it is to give antibiotics to a small dog? Peanut butter works really well. Stick the pill in the peanut butter, it goes down almost every time. Think about that. I was talking to a lady yesterday and she said, you know, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. I said, that's true, but you can make them thirsty along the way. You understand what their wants are. You can embed those wants in the needs you know they have. And then you can meet needs and wants together. But what they are not seeking is what matters to you, because they don't care. They want to know what matters to them can be met by you. My challenge for you today is to ask that question as you pursue the next sale, or you pursue the next opportunity, or you pursue the next buy-in of your vision, of your plan, of your business plan, whether it's from your executive team, a new client, your spouse or significant other, or from God. That when you're in that moment of communicating, you ask yourself the question, what is it they really want? Will you do that today? In that moment, ask yourself, and if you're brave enough, ask them, what is it you really want out of this transaction, out of this encounter, out of this relationship? And then go about the business of meeting that want to the best of your ability. And you'll find that your relationships are deeper, your connections are stronger, the buy-in is higher, and so are the sales. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.